The year was 1456, and the Ottoman Empire, under the ambitious young Sultan Mehmed II, cast a long shadow over Europe. Just 3 years earlier, Mehmed had achieved the unthinkable, the conquest of Constantinople, the last bastion of the Roman Empire. The fall of the great city sent shockwaves through Christendom, and now, the Sultan turned his gaze northward, toward the Kingdom of Hungary. Standing between the Ottomans and the heart of Europe was Belgrade, a mighty fortress city on the Danube. If it fell, the road to Budapest, Vienna, and beyond would lie open. But defending it was John Hunyadi, the legendary Hungarian warlord, and a fiery Franciscan monk named John of Capistrano, who preached a holy crusade to save Christendom. This is the story of the Siege of Belgrade, one of the most dramatic battles of the medieval world. A clash where faith, desperation, and raw courage would decide the fate of Europe. Mehmed II, known as the Conqueror, had assembled the largest army seen in the Balkans since the days of the Roman Empire. Over 100,000 soldiers, including the elite Janissaries, marched toward Belgrade. Accompanying them was a massive fleet of 200 ships on the Danube, carrying heavy siege guns capable of smashing the strongest walls. The Sultan was confident. He had taken Constantinople. What was Belgrade compared to that? But waiting for him was John Hunyadi, the White Knight of Hungary. A veteran of countless battles against the Turks, Hunyadi had spent years preparing for this moment. He knew Belgrade was the last line of defense. If it fell, Hungary, and perhaps all of Europe, would be next. Hunyadi had only 7,000 professional soldiers, but he was not alone. John of Capistrano, a fiery preacher, had traveled across Germany and Hungary, rallying peasants, farmers, and monks to take up arms. By the time the Ottomans arrived, 30,000 crusaders, many armed with nothing but scythes and faith, stood ready to fight. On July 4, 1456, the Ottoman army surrounded Belgrade. Mehmed's cannons began their relentless bombardment, shaking the fortress walls. The defenders, though outnumbered, fought desperately. Hunyadi's men launched sorties, burning Ottoman siege towers and repelling assaults. But the real danger came from the Danube. The Ottoman fleet blocked the river, cutting off supplies. If the Hungarians couldn't break the blockade, they would starve. Hunyadi devised a daring plan. Under cover of darkness, he sent fireships, burning vessels packed with explosives, down the river. The Ottoman fleet, caught off guard, panicked. Ships collided, some burned, others sank. In the chaos, Hunyadi's men rowed out in small boats, boarding the surviving Ottoman vessels and slaughtering their crews. By dawn, the Ottoman fleet was destroyed. The siege was not yet over, but hope flickered in the hearts of the defenders. Furious at the loss of his fleet, Mehmed ordered an all-out attack on July 21, 1456. The Janissaries surged forward, breaching the outer walls. The Hungarians fell back, fighting street by street. The situation seemed hopeless. Then, something extraordinary happened. John of Capistrano, though an old man, seized a banner and charged into the fray, screaming, "The Lord who made the beginning will take care of the finish." The peasants, inspired by his madness, followed. They attacked the Janissaries with pitchforks, axes, and raw fury. The Ottomans, expecting an easy victory, were stunned. The tide of battle turned. Hunyadi, seeing the chaos in the Ottoman ranks, ordered a full counterattack. His knights smashed into the enemy, driving them back. The Ottomans, now in full retreat, were slaughtered as they fled. Mehmed himself was wounded in the fighting. Humiliated, he ordered a retreat. Belgrade had been saved. The siege of Belgrade was a turning point in European history. Mehmed II, who had seemed unstoppable after Constantinople, suffered his first major defeat. The victory delayed the Ottoman advance into Europe for 70 years, buying time for the West to prepare for future wars. But the triumph came at a cost. Just weeks after the battle, the Black Death swept through the Hungarian camp. Both John Hunyadi and John of Capistrano succumbed to the plague, dying as heroes. Their legacy lived on. The Pope ordered church bells to ring at noon in memory of the victory, a tradition that continues today as the noon bell. Belgrade had stood firm. Christendom had been saved, for now. Final words: the siege of Belgrade was more than a battle. It was a clash of civilizations, a moment when the fate of Europe hung in the balance. It proved that even against overwhelming odds, courage and faith could defy an empire. And though the Ottomans would return, for one shining moment in 1456, the defenders of Belgrade held back the tide of history.